So morning everyone, thank you for joining us this morning. I'm Shane from the Barnsley Modern Chamber. So today's webinar, Chasing the Unicorn, your ideal digital marketing strategy for the new normal. It's going to be presented by fellow chamber member Hannah at GrowTraffic. Hannah's one of the directors in the business, and she'll be showing us how to formulate and adapt your marketing strategy so that your business can grow. So before I pass over to Hannah, like we always say, a bit of housekeeping. This webinar, it's being recorded, so we can send it out through our chamber network afterwards so people can recap, or people that can't make it today can have a look at it. You're all muted except for Hannah and myself. However, if you do have any questions at any point, you can pop them in the conversation chat box or raise your digital hand, and I'll keep an eye on those as well as Hannah, and we can come back to them, or we can pick them up at the end, or kind of go as we please, really. So I'll now pass over to Hannah, who'll get us started. Hannah, over to you.
Thanks. Right, I'll just share my screen. Okay, can everyone see my screen? Yeah? Good. Yeah. Right then. So, it's a bit of a daft title really, but all it means is looking for your ideal marketing strategy. So your ideal marketing strategy is not going to be the same as anybody else's. So I'm going to show you how to formulate a strategy and then how to make it the best it can possibly be. So just to tell you who I am, so that you know who's telling you all this. So I'm a director of GrowTraffic. We're a digital marketing agency, and I've been there for 3 years. I'm also a director of a charity in Sheffield called Target Housing. They're a social landlord. And I'm Vice Chair of Governors at Maltby Hilltop, which is a school for children with profound learning difficulties. And then I do various bits of networking. And then there's the team. So GrowTraffic, just so that you feel like we've got a bit of authority on the topic. We started in 2009, but in 2017 I joined, and we underwent a period of kind of aggressive growth and innovation. And since then, there's 6 of us, 3 of whom are directors. It's me and my sister and my brother-in-law. We've got an office in Lancashire and one in Yorkshire. So we kind of cover the whole of the north. We're award-winning, and we are often asked to contribute to publications in the SEO community. So our specialism is search engine optimization. So within that community, we've got a really good reputation. We contribute to publications regularly. We are frequently up for awards in that sector, and our blog is kind of heralded as, which sounds really grand, but it is, as one of the leading blogs in the industry on the topic. We do various digital marketing activities. I'm not going to read off a PowerPoint to you all. But there you go, is what we do. SEO is search engine optimization, which is essentially getting businesses where websites higher up Google. PPC stands for pay-per-click, which is Google AdWords and kind of Google retargeting and stuff like that. My GIF's not working, so that's supposed to be a hilarious GIF. Right then, so the perfect marketing strategy. So I thought before we discuss how you can get yours, we need to discuss what a really good marketing strategy is. So a perfect marketing strategy, it works. It could be written on the back of a fag packet, but if it works, it's perfect. And if it doesn't work, there's absolutely no point to having it. It's strategic. So, the clue is in the name. You need to decide what exactly it is that you want to achieve and how you're going to get there. So, like with most strategies, you start from the back and you work your way. You start at your goal and you work your way backwards. A really, really good marketing strategy will have variety in it. You'll not just rely on one channel. And I'll talk about channels a lot. And if that's jargon, that just means like different methods of reaching out to people. So, for example, email is a channel, a website is a channel. So a really, really strong marketing strategy will have an online and offline variety of channels. So it increases your reach, it gets out to far more people. And it's variable. If your marketing strategy is static and it's the same as what it was last year, then it's not a really good marketing strategy, because over that time, you will have established something that works and something that doesn't. And if you're doing what doesn't work, then, you know, you're kind of wasting your time and your money. You need to be assessing it and doing more of what works and less of what doesn't. We hear it time and again. It's so tempting, especially where your money's concerned and your business is concerned, to take the safe route. But a really good marketing strategy is experimental and it's brave, and you're willing to try new routes to market and give it time to bed in. So it might be that you try something for 3 or 4 months and it doesn't work. And all right, maybe you've dropped a few hundred quid on it or a few thousand quid on it, but you know now that that one doesn't work. It's almost a trial and error with marketing strategies. You need to decide what's going to work for your audience, your business, your product or service. And then go back to what I said about being variable. Do more of what works and don't carry on with what's not working. But you've got to try these new routes to market. It should be analysed. You need to check in with it regularly, set check points, and make sure that you know what is working. What's your return on your investment? How much time are you spending on it? Is it actually working, or is it just a kind of finger in the air? And you should be constantly touching it. Make it somebody's job. If you're engaging in your marketing once a month, it's not enough. You need to be regularly, frequently touching your marketing strategy and making sure that you're implementing it as effectively as possible. So a really great marketing strategy will have all these elements to it. Right, so there's 3 steps to it, to implementing a good strategy. The first one is prepare, which I'm going to go into in more detail. Implement is, you know, kind of easy. Once you've done your preparation, implementing it should be the easy bit. It's just the bit that takes the time. And then to really make it the unicorn of all strategies, you've got to agitate it. You have to give it a shake every now and again and see how you can improve it, and how you can maybe streamline it or strip it back or increase your spend or reduce your spend or whatever. But that final step of agitation is where the magic happens. So we'll have a little look at prepare first. So you've got to get ready to go. It's like setting off on a car journey. You can't just get in your car and drive off. You've got to make sure that you've got petrol and water and, you know, soup or whatever it is you take on your journeys with you. And you need to understand your demographic, so who you're actually targeting, who you're speaking to, and who else is speaking to them, and figure out what your particular strengths and challenges are within your own abilities, within your team's abilities, within your product or service, within your sector, and within the wider market. So only once you've got all this information in place can you formulate a really good strategy. If you're kind of rushing off half-cocked and thinking, right, I'm going to send some emails today, that'll be part of my strategy, then that's not going to be as effective as if you really targeted it. So when you are looking at your online and offline presence, you need to check your website, your social media profiles, your email marketing list, and you need to audit your content. So what I mean is your website optimized? Is it ready for Google? You can't just put a website up. You can't just put a website up and expect it to work. You've got to make sure that the code is all properly coded so that Google can read it and crawl it and store it in their index. And, you know, this is obviously essential if your website is going to formulate part of your strategy. But even if it doesn't, you need to make sure that your website has enough call to actions. Does it look really nice? Does it say what exactly it is that you do and why you do it and why somebody should care that you do it, why they should come to you? Because everybody uses the internet, obviously, and it's not enough these days to just say, oh, you know, my customers aren't online. Your customers are online. If you haven't got a website, then you need to get one. And if it looks ugly, then you need to make it look nicer, because people will just come and just check you out and just make sure you've got a website. If they don't find one, you look small fry. If they find one and it's ugly, or it doesn't say what you do, or they can't navigate their way around it, then it doesn't cast your business in a great light. and you're already starting off on the back foot. Your social media profiles, again, people will look for you online. So you need to make sure that your social media profiles have got relevant content and images on. I did a review of a website, of a social media, well, kind of a digital footprint of a company the other day, and it was an HR company, and their all the photos on their social media profiles were photos of the skyline of New York, and they're a HR company in Burnley, and it was just so irrelevant. I just thought, like, this is not giving any impression of who you are or what you do or why anyone would want to come to you. So make sure that you've got content on your social media that is relevant to your business, but mainly it's relevant to your target audience, and authentic to who you are as a business. Like if you look at the GrowTraffic Facebook profile in particular, it's not very businessy, but it's incredibly authentic to who we are as a business. Make sure that you've filled out all the elements that you can on your social media profiles. So if you've got your opening hours in there, have you got all your other links to all your other profiles? Have you got a really good explanation of who you are and what you do and why people should come to you? This next one's really important, and it's a mistake that we see very often. You've got to make sure that your audience is targeted for who you actually want to buy from you. It's so tempting when you set up a social media channel, especially on Facebook, to just invite everyone that you know, people that you went to school with and people that you went to uni with that you've not seen in donkey's years. But then that's not targeted. And the way the algorithms work is if they engage with your posts, which they probably will do because they like you, then that's going to mean that your content is spread out to even more of the wrong sort of people. So if your target audience is, back to HR, if it's an HR professional over the age of 50 living in the Northwest, for example, but all your audience on your social media platform is people under 40 living in Newcastle and who have an affiliation with the Sun, you're pushing your content out to the wrong people, but more of those people will see it. So cleanse your social media profiles, cleanse your target audience, and start pushing yourself out to the right people, so that when you do start marketing yourself on social media, if that's going to be part of your strategy, you know that it's reaching the right people. And again, check your tone of voice is right for that platform, not that business. If you look at, again, using the GrowTraffic Facebook page as an example, the stuff that we put on Facebook is very casual and tongue-in-cheek. It's correct for Facebook. It's not necessarily correct for LinkedIn. We don't use the same tone of voice on Pinterest, for example, but Facebook is social. People go there to be social and be entertained. So our tone of voice is correct for that platform. So we know part of our marketing strategy is diversifying our tone of voice for the social media platform that we're posting on. So it's important that you audit that now and know if you're doing it correctly or not. Your email marketing list, cleanse it, obviously, for GDPR. And again, back to social profiles. Have you got the right people on it, or have you just added anyone that you've ever met on it? And then think about who you actually want on it. Who do you want to push out? If email marketing is going to be part of your strategy, who do you actually want to speak to? And then you know how to, you know who you need to be trying to get to sign up to it. And then your content. So this is your online and offline content. And I'm just going to skip to number 2 on there. So does your content really, really truthfully say what you do? I can't tell you the number of websites and brochures and stuff I've read that just refers to our services all the way through and literally never mentions what the company does. Because to you, when you're writing it, no, you're happy, you know what you're saying, you know what you do, but does anyone else? Can anybody else pick it up? Or are you using jargon? Are you speaking in industry terms that other people won't understand? Are you really vague about what it is that you actually do and why you actually do it and why they should really care? So just have a read through your content, or get someone who doesn't know your business to read through your content and then tell you what they've gleaned from that. Because you know, if you've not got that right, literally no one will convert because no one knows what the hell it is you're doing. Think about how much of your content is bottom of the funnel as well. So when we talk about the sales funnel, and forgive me if you all know this, at the top of the funnel, you get a large trench of people that don't even really know that they have a problem, don't really know that they want your service. They're just kind of, they might be tire kickers, they're just investigating. And then as you get further down the funnel, they're figuring out that not only do they want what you are offering, they might potentially want you to deliver it. So at the bottom of the funnel, your content needs to be why choose us, how we can help you, really detailed information about your services. So make sure that you've got a good proportion of bottom of the funnel content in your brochures or on your website or even on your social media platforms. So figure out what people need to know in order to convert. Because you could be driving as much traffic as you want to your website, but if no one actually knows then why they should pick you, it's pointless. We don't want too much. I would say probably about 30% of bottom of the funnel content is right. Is your brochure ready? If that's going to form part of your offline content, is that ready? And what are you missing? If your business card's really nice, does your letterhead look great? Does your email footer look really nice? Is it all on brand? You know, what are you missing? Figure out what you're missing. And then point 2 is you need to understand your demographic and your competitors and your strengths, challenges, and opportunities. So who are your real demographic and who are your targeted demographic? So like with your social media audience, your real demographic might be totally different to who you actually want to be speaking to. And that could be because your business has developed and grown and you're now wanting to target larger businesses or a specific niche. Or it could just be that by accident you've fallen into helping a very specific audience. So figure out who really are your demographic and then who you actually want to speak to. And if they're the same, then, you know, it's magic already. Right, look at your online and offline competitors. And on the next screen, I'm going to go into that a little bit more. But your online competitors will not be the same as your offline competitors. Your offline competitors are the people who are offering you the same services as you. Your online competitors are the people who are beating you in search engines. But I'll show you that in a sec. And then strengths and challenges and opportunities. Obviously, you should be conducting customer feedbacks to figure out, you know, what you're doing well, what you're not doing so well. Study your market sector, get some real clarity on what your brand is, what do you stand for as a brand, what do you stand for as a company, what's your strap line. And then if you want to get super nerdy about it, which I always do, map your service and user journey. So you can do a service blueprint so that you know exactly what a customer sees from the minute they touch base with you initially to the point when they end contract with you. So how many touch points do they get in between? Some people say you need 7, some people say you need 15 touch points before you can convert somebody into an inquiry. But what are they? What are your customers gonna, where are your customers gonna touch your business, if you like? Hang on, that is someone else signing into my account. Right, done that bit, haven't we? Okay, so this is what I was talking about with online competitors. So I Googled accountancy firm and I Googled business coach, right? So accountancy firm, this is the top of Google, excluding paid ads. So you will see Accountancy Age, it's an article about the list of accountancy firms. Then we've got an actual accountancy firm. Then we've got another article about accountancy firms. Then we've got Wikipedia talking about accountancy firms. On this side, on Business Coach, we've got HubSpot, which is a really great website, really great resource, but it's not looking for business coaches. You've got businesscoaching.co.uk, you've got Forbes, you've got the Alternative Board, so it's like a networking thing. So your online competitors are not your actual competitors. It's people with really well-ranking websites, and we always see like .gov popping up in there, or BBC popping up in there, or Wikipedia. Amazon always manages to rank for literally every search term because it's such a mammoth website. So when you're figuring out your online marketing strategy, just remember that you're not competing against the chap down the road. You're competing against mega corporations with giant websites that are really well optimized. So you've got to consider that when you're thinking about the efficacy of your online marketing strategy. So I would suggest that you Google your services and see who's coming up on that first page. And then maybe it needs some keyword research. Right. Really importantly, if you can't do this yourself, if you're looking at this and thinking, geez, no way, get someone else to do it, because you can't market without knowing who you're marketing to. A really good strategy will hang off this. It lives and dies by figuring out your target audience, figuring out where your gaps are, and delivering to that niche. And it's worth the money. If you can afford it, it's worth it, even if you do the rest of it yourself. Okay, everyone all right? I feel like I'm just rambling on at an empty room. So this is an example of what a marketing strategy could look like. So you can have whatever you want in these top columns, but I've included channel, activity, message, time, KPI, and why. So put any channel that you want in the channel. Anything that you think that is within your expertise, or something that you're willing to pay for, you think will be effective, stick it in there. And even if you only do a really teeny bit of it, that's fine, but just make sure it's on there. I've gone really digital on here, but you could obviously include offline marketing strategies as well. Specify what your activity is going to be. Figure out your messaging. So like if you look on email newsletter, I've broken it down month by month. So July, we're going to focus, like I'll do one newsletter a month. I'll do it via MailChimp. July is going to be a sales message. August is going to be company news. September is going to be our blogs. October is going to be our how-to guide. So you need to have a targeted message for each chunk of time. So you might decide that every week you're going to change targeted message. You might decide that you're going to theme it for a month or for a quarter or whatever's suitable for you. But if you pull it all together, then that's when you start to get a really cohesive marketing strategy. So if, for example, in July, your email newsletter is all about sales messages, so you're going to be talking about, this is why you would come to us, this is why we're the best, look at our results, yada, yada, bye. If you then tie that in with your blogging and your social media, so in your social media strategy, you might say that for every 5 posts I put out, 1 or 2 are going to be sales messages to tie in with the rest of the email newsletter. And that's starting to formulate a really cohesive plan. But just go easy on the sales messages, because no one likes to be bombarded with sales messages. Establish how much time you're going to allocate to it. You might decide that's your budget. And then for the love of God, please put a KPI on it. What exactly is it that you want to achieve with that? Why are you doing it? Even if your first KPI is totally, like you could blow it out of the water in 3 days, or you might be doing it and thinking, crikey, this is never achievable. But it helps you benchmark how effective your strategy is and whether or not you should carry on with it, or whether or not it's worth actually dropping that particular channel for you. And then what is the purpose of it? Figure out the purpose with everything. Figure out your why, and you've won half the battle, and it makes your KPIs easier to estimate, and it's easier to establish the effectiveness of your strategy. So for example, if you know your email strategy, your email newsletter strategy is to re-engage old customers, then you know that your KPI needs to be targeted on re-engaging old customers. So therefore, you know who you need to send it to and what sort of messaging you need to put on. And you might decide to put on a special offer or whatever, because that's the purpose of that specific bit. And also, it makes sure that you're not spending all your marketing time trying to target the same people. So if your email newsletter is to re-engage your customers, your social media should perhaps be for something else. And then you've got to agitate. You've got to figure out whether or not it's working and establish how well it's working and how cost effective it is. Okay, so just imagine, this could be for literally anything because I've put it on 2 sheets, but let's pretend this is for your social media, for example. So you might think, right, okay, this month I've spent £1,000 on paid social media. Figure out how many people that actually reached. And there's so many tools that tell you this. Google Analytics tells you exactly where people have come onto your website from. And it's an amazing tool. And if you've got it on your website, go and have a look, because you will never break it. You can mash away at it as much as you want, and you'll figure it out. Just don't be, frightened of it. And you can also get it to tell you how many conversions you've had, so how many people have actually done what you want them to do. Might be checkout, might be filling in an online inquiry form, might be signing up to your newsletter, whatever it is you want them to do. Then you know exactly what your reach is, and from there you can work out what your ROI is, which is just essential. Like if you're putting money into, well, obviously, you don't need me to tell you why working out your ROI is important. So this sort of method of reviewing your marketing activity on a quarterly basis, or more if you've got the time, will mean that you're not wasting money and time on something that's not effective. And it will also give you a realistic idea of how effective each strategy is. Because some strategies are worth it, but not effective. So for example, email newsletters, they are cheap to do, they're quick to do, they're reasonably easy. There's a lot of value to them, really. But in terms of conversions, traditionally, they have a really low conversion rate. But that doesn't mean that the value is not there, because they're so kind of easy to do. They're cheap to do. It's a nice way of keeping in touch with your clients. It's a good way of pushing out messages, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, they're not usually hugely profitable in terms of, monetary value. So it will help you establish what's good to do and worth having versus what is actually raking in the money for you. I've just done some examples of online and offline marketing that you might want to include. I think everything on there is fairly self-explanatory. Heat mapping, just in case people don't know, is where you put some software on your website and you can see how people are working through your website and who's been on your website. So then you can directly contact people that have looked at your website and say, hi, you looked at my website. Would you like to have a chat? Excuse me. Some people think it's a bit creepy, but some people love it. But I think everything else on there, retargeting ads, that's where when you've been on a website and then you go on another website and an advert for the website that you've been on follows you around. Other than that, I think everything else is pretty self-explanatory. Right, how do we make all that into a unicorn then? So what we've got there, if you do all that, is a marketing strategy. But how do we make it amazing? Right, the first thing is you've got to innovate. If you think about the biggest companies in the world, they are innovative. And I've used like global brands throughout all this. And I'm not saying like, oh, you need to go and be Apple, but draw influence and inspiration from their marketing and their approach and implement it in your own business. Everyone can do that. So Apple, Netflix, they're so innovative. Netflix wiped out an entire sector, video rental, in like 3 years or something, just by innovating. And they regularly innovate. They regularly add new content and new ways of streaming and new ways of downloading and stuff. Peloton, I don't know if people have heard of Peloton. Sorry, that's my dog and my kid doing something. Peloton, they do exercise bikes. So they sell exercise bikes, but they also, when you buy one of the exercise bikes, you get access to their online exercise bike spin classes. So by doing that, you've got a hooked-in audience that are experiencing exercise bikes in an entirely new way. You've combined two things that people who buy exercise bikes really like and blown the market wide open. So by innovating your brand, innovating your services, you're going to get more of a market share because you're offering something new. You've got to disrupt your market. The companies on there are the biggest, the leaders in their sectors, and they still disrupt. They never stay still. Facebook release algorithm updates like every 6 months or so. Google constantly release algorithm updates. They're constantly just tweaking, just turning the dials. Airbnb offer new experiences and a new way of interacting with their platform. They are agitating all the time. And when they disrupt the market, everybody else follows in their, all their competitors follow. But as consumers, we're so attracted by something shiny and new that we automatically go and see what's going on because we think, oh, they've got such a reputation for being so disruptive or so innovative, it's going to be good. So in your marketing strategy, going back to those first slides about what a great marketing strategy looks like, you've got that agitation in there where you try new things and you're brave and you don't just rest on thinking, oh, okay, this strategy is working really well, so I'm going to do this. By pushing out a new way of communicating with people or trying a new channel, you're disrupting your sector. Leverage your reputation. So IKEA, whether you go into an IKEA in Sheffield or Bangalore, you're going to get the same product, the same service, probably the same layout, because it's consistent and they have a reputation for that. Lego, their reputation that they leverage is nostalgic, but again, it's predictably good. Like, that whatever the set you buy, it's going to work, it's going to be amazing, your kid's going to have a great time because you had a great time with it when you were a kid. And Rolex, again, like it leverages its reputation based on quality of craftsmanship. So whether you're selling kind of predictability and reassurance, nostalgia, craftsmanship, whatever your kind of special niche is, you leverage that as part of your marketing campaign, and that's what you market. Like, that's what you market yourself on. Figure out what it is that makes you different or amazing, and then use that as in your communications. This is so important. If you can facilitate loyalty and advocacy, especially at the point of purchase, your business will just grow exponentially. So what I mean by this is, how do you get people coming back to you, and how do you get people to tell their mates? And if you can figure this out, then you've cracked it. So ASOS, once you've bought something from them, you get a voucher. Amazon, that's just so easy. Like, loads of people I speak to hate Amazon as a corporation, but we're still all shopping on there because, Christ, it's loads easier than hauling yourself out to the shops. And Apple, their consumers are militantly loyal, fiercely loyal. Once you have an Apple product, people just love it and they never go back. And there's whole shops that don't actually sell anything but are just crammed full of kids, because people really, really advocate for their brand because it's so easy, it streamlines, and it all fits together. Their services complement each other. It's almost like a badge of honor. So if you can figure out in your brand, your business, how you can get that loyalty, that repeat customer, and how you can get them to advocate for you based on your reputation, then you've got, just massive growth, huge growth. Your marketing strategy will fly because people are marketing for you. and then personalize it. Especially now, people are responding to really personalized marketing. So I don't know if you've noticed, I mean, you can't not have noticed, all the adverts at the moment on the TV, they're so cuddly. Now more than ever, we're here with you. It's all this like plinky plonky piano music. It feels like someone's talking directly to you. It's really personal. So however you decide to personalize your brand should be factored into your marketing strategy. So for example, Spotify, they tailor, they give you suggestions for other services and products that they might like. They make you playlists based on what else you listen to. So you can say, okay, you bought this off me, but I think you might also really like this because it complements that really nicely. But don't say that to everyone. You know, say, all right, Donna, you've bought this, so I think you're going to really like this. Boots, they send you out special offers when it's your birthday. They send you out discounts based on products that you've bought. So if you've bought one thing, then they send you something that's slightly similar that you might like, but it's not the same. And Build-A-Bear, I don't know if anyone's experienced that particular level of hell, but you go in there and you're given a choice of about 1 million bears, and the process is the same, but because there's a selection of different bears to choose from, it feels very, very personal. And you get kind of 5 minutes with someone that stitches the bear for you and makes a wish for it or something. And then you get to pick clothes out of a variety of different clothes. So actually your choices are really limited, but because the variations are limited, but the things that they've put the variations onto, you know, like the bears, the skirts, the rollerblades for the bears, the hats for the bears or whatever, it feels like you've got a lot of choice. And because you get that 5 minutes with someone who gets your kid to kiss a heart when they sew it in and stuff, it feels really personalised. And so people keep going back time and time again to have the experience of building a bear. Bears get chucked in the wardrobe, but the experience lives on. So however you decide to personalise your brand, that will give it the edge. But make it genuinely personal. You know, genuinely reach out to specific people, individuals, and give them a genuinely personalised brand, personalised experience, and that will mean that they then advocate for you. Sorry, it's not the Rona. Okay, I've put some resources for help on here, which I believe Shane's going to send out the slides. So if you want to have a look at those, they're really good. Neil Patel is a digital marketeer. He's exceptional. He's like a leader in his field. He's really good. HubSpot and small business have got really good marketing guides on them, and obviously GrowTraffic is the dogs at that. And then just to kind of finish off, I would urge you to get professional help on this if you are spending money and it's not working, or if you can't spend the money, like if you're on PPC and your account just isn't spending money. If you don't have a budget at all, get some advice. Ring me, I will give you free advice, and then you can implement it yourself. If your market's really saturated and you're struggling to get heard, get some advice on how to be slightly different. Or if your product is incredibly niche and you're struggling to push it out to people, then get some advice on how to bring a niche product to a market, and we can help you with all that. Put circle links for the people, and that's it. So has anyone got any questions?
That was really good, Hannah. Thank you.
Thanks. I feel like it was a bit whistle stop.
No, it was good. Did anyone catch the unicorn in the end? Did you get the pun? The pun, yeah. Oh, good. Anyway. Thank you very much, Hannah, for that. I think for me, I just want to say a big thank you to Hannah, but I think it's very important that we all carry on raising our profile, build our brand, engage with our kind of network, our potential customers, our current customers. And I think the digital way is extremely important anyway, but even more important with what's going on. Has anyone got any direct questions or comments or thoughts that they can kind of pick on Hannah and ask?
I wanted to ask, because on our Facebook page, like it is quite I don't feel like we've got the right audience. Have you got any tips on like how to get the right, get to the right audience?
Carice, do you want to explain what you do and then we can understand it?
Yeah. Well, I work for Uni School Solutions, and what we do is we recruit for schools.
Is she checking that you know? Yeah. Go on, sorry.
What we do is I feel really put off.
I know what you do, Kerry. It's all right. I know what you do.
No, they're not. I'm just.
They're mean, aren't they? So growing the right audience is tricky. I would say, first of all, cleanse who you've already got on there if you've got people that aren't suitable. Follow people who you actually want to follow you and like your page. Join some groups that are specific to your industry. So there'll be pages and groups for your industry, and then join those groups and actively contribute to them. You can join as your page rather than joining as an individual. And then if that's not working and you're struggling to keep pushing out your content, obviously, if that's not working, then you might need to look at a little bit of a paid campaign to get some likes, which is not the same as buying likes, because buying likes is bad. It's pushing out your content to the right people so that you can specify your audience, and then your audience see your content in their feed and then are more likely to like it. Depending on your sector, that can sometimes cost maybe 40p a like. Sometimes it can go up to as much as £1 a like. So figure out how many likes you want to get. And there's a bit of a science behind it. How many likes you get, how many people like your profile will convert to how many leads you're likely to get. And obviously, it goes down, kind of downward slant. So if you're wanting to get, 30 leads off Facebook, you're probably going to need a good few thousand likes who are really targeted. So yeah, join some groups, follow the people that you want to follow you, and then think about a like campaign if it's not working. All right.
Thanks, Hannah. I want to pick on Joda, if that's all right. Joda's our president, and that's not the reason I'm picking on her, but she runs multiple businesses, and I just want to ask her really in terms of what you're doing with your digital marketing strategy. And I've not planned this, Joda, so I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
No, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Our digital strategy before COVID was very much around teaching people. So our brand is very much, we are the professionals and we make professional videos, but we know that people are not always in the right stage of their business to pay for video. So we spend most of our time digitally teaching people how to do that. And that's not just our digital marketing, our offline. So we have letters that go out to previous customers, checking in on them. We've got brochures that go out to prospective customers. They're followed up by my sales lady who makes the phone call and has a conversation with them. If they're not ready for something that is of a professional level, then there's lots of options on that sheet, which is basically, if you are right at the beginning and you don't know what you don't know, then we can teach you how to do that with a little workshop. If you're a bigger agency and you're selling video but you don't really know what you're selling, then we can come in and do a full day's consultancy. So we make sure that everything that we send out, whether it's digital or offline, that there is something on there for everybody. And we quickly work out that if somebody can't afford the professional video, they aren't our audience. So we don't bang on about professional video to them. We then offer them the workshops to teach them to do stuff. The only thing we've done differently in COVID is we've just given lots of advice. We've not sold, because it felt it didn't feel like the right time to be asking people to buy. It felt more like the right time to be saying to people, obviously you're going to be at home doing things, why not do a little message, Even just send it out to your own customers and ask them if they're all right, rather than the sell. So we do a lot of what Hannah's talked about as far as the online and offline and everything else. The only thing we've done differently over COVID is we spent some time pulling some little videos together so that we have now got a platform on our website where people can subscribe and subscribe to those teaching videos so that they've always got them. So my advice would be always teach people what to do themselves, because there's always an element of your product that, yes, they'll need you for, but that you can teach them how to do themselves. So exactly what Hannah's just done, this is perfect for GrowTraffic, because I didn't even know, I've known Hannah for years because we worked together previously, but I didn't know what Hannah's company was called. I've seen her at chamber events, but now I know GrowTraffic. And now I know, because she's taught me something and it's not cost me anything, I think, well, if that's what you get for free, then the stuff that you pay for will be awesome.
Thanks, Judah. But you're right, that is absolutely the perfect approach, because when I was talking about the funnel, like the top of the funnel, people are coming, they're kind of wandering around trying to find an answer to a question that they don't even really know how to properly formulate yet. And if you're there giving out free information, one, they're going to figure out that your services exist and they can engage them if they want, and two, you're front of mind when they are ready to engage you. You know, because you've already helped them, you've already taught them something and shown them how to do it themselves. Don't ever feel like you're going to do yourself out of a customer by giving your knowledge away for free, because you won't. You're just fostering relationships, putting yourself front of mind and generating your pipeline further down the line. And that's how content marketing works. If you're pushing out content that demonstrates who you are and what you do and why you're so amazing at what you do, and giving it out for free, then that can only be a benefit to your company. So yeah, Jodah's approach is perfect.
I always say that there's it works in two ways, and that it's very much like a marriage proposal. And so you've got marketing and sales. For me, the marketing is the engagement, and sales is getting down on one knee and handing them a ring. If you don't have that engagement and build that relationship, then they're not going to say yes. People don't ask somebody to marry them without having spent enough time with them to know the ins and outs and have built that relationship. And that's exactly the same with sales. If you try to sell to a stranger, it's like asking someone to marry you on the first date. Yeah. You've got to spend that time giving them stuff so that they get to know you, they get to trust you, they can see what the relationship is. And it might take them a while. Some it might take them 2 days and they come back. Others it might take 6 months, and they might have made their own videos or done their own bit of marketing, and then now actually they've got a big campaign coming up, or a big event that they want filming, or something that they want pushing out, and they appreciate that you took them as far as they can go, and now they're fully in, because now they also appreciate often what the service is and how much time, knowledge, and money actually needs to go into it to do it at a professional level.
Yeah, that's such a good point as well, that especially in like maybe mine and Jodah's sector, everyone thinks, I'll have a pop at that, I'll be able to do that. And yeah, you absolutely can, but doing it professionally is a whole nother level. And I think people get a real appreciation for your skill set if they've had a go at it themselves and seen that it's a bit tricky, and maybe you do need to pay someone who's expert in it, but they've still managed to have a really good go at it, because like Jodah says, you've given them the tools that kind of, you can't sell to someone who don't want to be sold to and who doesn't appreciate what it is that you do, or doesn't understand, or doesn't think that they need it. And so by giving them the tools to do it themselves, and you're convincing them in a way that actually they do need your service.
Can I just ask, and apologise if you can hear a bit drilling, I've got some work going off in the house, that's why I keep muting myself and unmuting myself, so I'm trying to play it by ear. But I want to ask Hannah if you can just give some advice. So for example, I'm going to put Andrew on the spot. Andrew, a lot of what he does is very personal, but it's face to face, and that is a lot of what Andrew's business is about. Correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew, is that correct?
No, spot on.
And how do businesses like Andrew's, and I know you know Andrew's business through the Chamber and through other methods, but how would you kind of advise Andrew in terms of what he does as a personal brand, which is himself? How can he grow his digital marketing strategy?
I mean, do you need to, Andrew? Like your offline face-to-face marketing is really, really important for you, because you're selling. Actually, I was thinking about you last night and how we engaged your services because we trusted you. Don't smirk. Because we trusted you. It's you that we bought into. It's not the solution that you're offering. And so, is digital right for you? It's not right for everyone. It might be a way for you to get more face-to-face meetings, but you're never going to sell online because you're selling you. So it's perhaps not right for you. But if it's something that you want to explore, then I would say social media is where you would be, because your target audience are on social media, because they're individuals, aren't they? They're not necessarily business people. You're not selling to the entrepreneurs, you're selling to the individuals primarily. So,
yeah, and very little of my work comes from social media, online, whatever it is. I would say 95% is word of mouth. But you need to spread the words. People will check you out, even if I meet somebody and they want to engage me. I'm sure they'll check out my website, LinkedIn profile, all that sort of stuff, to make sure, like you said earlier, that I am legit and whatever, all that sort of stuff. So I agree, it's probably a lesser part of what I do, but I think, and especially in the post-COVID world, there'll be more and more online digital stuff. And I think for me, it's being able to be approached that way, and almost having it in the background for people to check you out. But again, people use more and more. I've been in this industry 30 years nearly. Some of this stuff didn't exist when I started. So I think you kind of need people to be aware of it, and people will want to do more and more business like that. So that's kind of where I'm coming from.
Yeah. So for
but I
you
accept
then,
it's not maybe as important. That's probably the wrong phrase to use, but not maybe as important for some other businesses.
for you then, it's about becoming a thought leader and flexing your expertise and your knowledge and your skills and your past kind of wins online. So you might put out articles where you're writing for publications that talk about your unique perspective on a situation, or you might put out case studies where you're talking about people that you've helped. You could do that on your website and then push it out to other people through social media channels. But I would say a lot of it's going to be digital PR for you, and reputation management, and making sure that your online presence, when people Google you, is squeaky clean. We worked with a solicitor, and I'm not insinuating anything at all. We worked with a solicitor probably a year ago, who was like a really, good solicitor, but he'd done one dodgy deal and it had made the newspaper. So when you Googled his name, it just flooded you with information that this guy was a shyster. So that was about reflooding the internet with positive content about him and making it so that his reputation was not tarnished by just an algorithm on a search engine. So yeah, for you it would be kind of positioning yourself as a voice of authority and expertise within the various digital channels.
Thanks, Hannah. I'm very conscious of time. We are coming up to the hour mark. Does anybody else have a question for Hannah while we've got them, just to finish off? And if you do, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask it.
Or feel free to send me an email.
Yeah, not a problem. So what I'll do after this, I'll send a follow-up email like we always do. Hannah, if you can send me the slides, then I can share them out with the delegates that I booked on today. And we'll also be Kieran, who's in the call, who's our marketing guy at the Chamber. He'll be editing this recording and putting it on the website, so you can always recap as well if you've missed anything. But I want to thank you very much for joining us. You can go and enjoy the sun. I think Charlotte's been enjoying it all morning, so everyone take a note out of Charlotte's book. But thank you very much, and please take care, and I'll follow up after this. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.